Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are. Hope you're having a wonderful day and welcome to your Nottingham Forest news. Guys, in today's video, we will be talking about Forest versus Fulham, which is back on currently, but there are a few caveats that we need to go through, and I'll talk you through those in today's video. Following that, I want to cover off where will Forest finish this season. I said Nottingham Forest will finish top 4 pre-season. And I will let you know today if I'm going to rescind or change my thoughts, or maybe even up them slightly. Guys, get in the comments below as well. Where do you think Forest will finish this season? I'm intrigued to know. It's going to be a fun debate. Before we do that, guys, if you are enjoying the Forest content on the YouTube channel, if you would like to help us by giving the video a quick like, subscribing to the channel if you are new, and if you would like to become a member for 99p, do hit the join button. And finally, a quick thank you to all you guys who have been supporting the channel using our Amazon link. Please go check out the store below. And today we have a new deal for you guys for our daily deals from Amazon. And we will be bringing you this beauty here, the Fitbit Versa 3 Health and Fitness smartwatch, either in the pink clay or black. They currently have 33% off the black for $134.99, and they have 39% off for the clay pink, 36% off, which comes in at £127.49. The link for both of these is in the description as well as the pinned comment. So if, like me, you're on a bit of a fitness drive, this will help your heart rates, your timings, when you go for a run, etc. This is the all-encompassing watch for you. So if you want to check that out, hit the link below. But let's move on to more important things, and that is Forest versus Fulham. Okay, so yesterday we told you that these games were back on, but there was a question mark about the policing of them and whether or not it would be viable to go ahead. The main specific issue being the issue of policing in London. It's been announced today that games will be back on from midweek today, which we told you yesterday about, which was obviously the European matches, Champions League, Europa, etc. Forest are playing on Friday, but they're playing at Nottingham. So all they need to do now is confirm with the police that everything is okay to go ahead. Now, for me, as I mentioned yesterday, this needs to be decided, I would say latest by tonight or tomorrow. Why? Because us as fans, and I know someone reached out to me yesterday saying they were traveling from Spain for this game. This needs to be taken into account for the fans' travel. It's so important that you know ahead of time whether or not, if you're coming from abroad, because Forest are international, you do need to know whether or not you should be getting on that flight or not. How disappointed would you be coming from abroad to find out the match is cancelled? So it's imperative that these go ahead. Now, from what I'm understanding, that most of these games will definitely go ahead. The ones that will be in doubt are the ones that are happening in and around London because obviously of the funeral and the police requirements in and around that. So that's what's to be confirmed. But my understanding right now is Forest versus Fulham is game on. And game on it is because we have our main man Mangala back, as well as the team having had 8 or 9 extra days to start gelling from the Bournemouth match that happened, which we will not talk about right now. But in my opinion, that result is actually going to be beneficial for Forest. Why? Because had we won it 2-0 or cantered out into a 3-0 victory, it would have really masked the issues that we were seeing in the first half in terms of player selection, maybe in terms of formation and things like that. For me, this could be a wake-up call for Steve Cooper and his staff to really get under the bonnet of it and have a look at what changes are required. I am expecting, and we will do a pre-match preview towards maybe Wednesday or Thursday this week, but I am expecting some big changes in specific in the defensive area and in the midfield, and potentially putting a number 9 back up front. Now, this number 9 debate is very contentious at the moment in amongst the Forest fan base, and I would like your opinion on it. Do you think playing this false 9 or 3 cams or 2 cams and an R-dub in Brennan Johnson is working, or would you like to see more of a target man from the likes of Taiwo Uoni back up front, or maybe some people are saying a Dennis or a Surridge? I would love to know your opinions on this. For me personally, I think Uoni needs to be given a run of 3 or 4 games because, let's face it, there's 2 key factors here. Forest haven't picked up a point since Everton. Uoni was in the starting lineup where we won our game in West Ham, and Mangala was the last time we picked up points. As I mentioned yesterday, he was playing. So a lot of changes required. We will go into bigger details of them, of course, in the preview match video, which will be probably Wednesday or Thursday, as I mentioned. But at the moment, I just want to start us getting back into that football mood. There's a game on the horizon. Let's start to build it back up. Let me know down below which changes you would like to see in the Forest lineup. And the contentious, should I say, question of, does the formation change? In my opinion, Cooper loves his 3-5-2 and won't be changing that. But if you think otherwise, let me know down below. So let's move on to a slightly more fun topic and more light-humoured, I guess you could say. Well, not really, because it is very important where Forest do finish this season. For me, before the start of the season, I was imperative and I was like not being wavered from the fact that Forest would finish in the top 4. I got called crazy, delusional, psychotic, you name it, I got called it. But looking at it now, with Forest sitting currently 19th in the Premier League, is top 4 or top 6 or top 10 completely out of the equation for Nottingham Forest? In my opinion. Hear me out, guys. It's not. Why? 2 reasons. Reason number 1, I said that Forest, until are mathematically impossible to finish top 4, I will continue to say top 4. Why not? I ask you the question, why not? If as a fan, when I support my team, I go into every game with the hope and slight expectation that I expect them to win. Even when we went and played Man City, go back and look at my prediction video. Don't actually, it's quite embarrassing. But I still thought Forest would win that match. I will always have that opinion. Now, you can say I'm saying it with my heart over my head. Fine. But are we not meant to be doing that as fans? It's not like we're talking about a club we don't support or love. We're talking about our specific club. You always want the best for them, and your heart will always override it. Now, if we take the heart out for a second and start talking with the head, let's be a bit realistic about where Forest are and where they should be. In my opinion, we have dropped off 3 points already. The Forest are sitting on 4 points. With those extra 5 points, we would have 9 points, which would put us quite high in the table. And the points I'm talking about are the 2 dropped at Everton late on, and obviously the 3 dropped at Bournemouth, or should I say at the City Ground against Bournemouth, where we should have comfortably won that game. And if it wasn't for the craziest second half, we would be sitting now on what? Another 3 points, so 7 points in total. Either way, things would be looking a lot rosier. But I am not disheartened, nor am I going to change my prediction yet, because I am seeing signs in this team of little things that are developing and little gems that are coming out that are going to cause us to rise up the table. We have this Fulham game, and then we have a 2-week break before we play Leicester, and then I think it's Villa off the top of my head. And this is more and more time for players to gel. Now, a lot of them will be going away on international duty after this Fulham game, but the time that we've just had extra now because of the Leeds match has given Steve Cooper a lot of time to get the players onto the pitch and get them to start understanding the philosophy a lot more. With the likes of Mangala coming back into full fitness, and he should be featuring, if not starting, against Fulham in the next match. This really is the start of the season. I know we said the reset button was hit before Bournemouth, but for me, this now has to be, it's do or die for Forest. Why? Because we have a nice run of games now where there are points that we should be picking up. But until I think we hit the Liverpool match is the next game against a big top 4 elite team, or whatever you want to call them. So for me, with a few tweaks in the defense, in the midfield, and putting a number 9 up front, Forest have the capability of finishing extremely high in the league. Not just that, if you start to compare squads, if you start to look at, on what I did, I looked at our squad versus the Leicester squad, versus a Bournemouth, Fulham, etc., worked my way up the table. It's not until you get to about 8th, around that place, in my opinion, you may agree or disagree, that you come across another squad where you look at it and think, they're probably a little bit stronger than what we've got. They've probably got more goals in them, or a more solid defense, etc. And it's not until that place. Now, if you have that as the baseline, you then start to say, okay, technically Forest could finish plus or minus, say, 3 places from that. So if you're looking at the 8th position that I talked about, we could finish as low as 11th, or we could finish as high as, say, 5th. It's not impossible for that to happen. As I always say, this time last year when Forest was sitting bottom of the championship, who amongst you was saying Forest would get promoted to the Premier League? Me personally, I was happy with no relegation and finishing ahead of Derby. That would have been a good season for me. This one just blew my expectations beyond belief. So, never write anything off in football because it can happen. What's important now is that Steve Cooper understands who his starting 11 are. We have so many differing opinions on this, from me to you to the next Forest fan to Steve Cooper. None of us get to make that call. That call comes from Steve Cooper and his coaching staff. Therefore, as we always say, in Cooper we trust, so we will have to trust it. All this talk about the Brighton stuff is pretty much dead in the water now, and Cooper will be remaining at Nottingham Forest. In terms of his contract, I expect that to be signed sooner rather than later. I still see no issues with it whatsoever. But results will need to change, because they always say in football, you are only ever 3 games away, or 3 losses, should I say, away from a crisis. And we've just lost 3 in a row. So by the book, by the letter of the law, by the folktale, Forest are in crisis right now. And Cooper has to turn it around. And usually he gets a reaction at the right time when required. It's the first time I can remember under his terrain that we've had a run of results like this. But it's expected when you hear him speaking in his press interviews. He's always talking about the expectations, the understanding that this isn't last season, that things are going to be different this year. But what I don't want him to do is bring those expectations too far down so that Forest are playing in a relegation dogfight, which they shouldn't be. I honestly believe we have one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Our defense is slightly weak. I think we have one of the most competitive midfields, should I say, in the league as well. And in Brennan Johnson, who I know there's a lot of talk about at the moment, we have one of the best talents, the young talents in the Premier League as well. If Awoni gets his scoring boots on, we've got MG Dub, who's already looking brilliant when he comes in, and Jesse Lingard. I mean, you guys all know my thoughts on him, but there is still potential in him if he gets up to full fitness and starts to click quite well, let alone forgetting about Dennis and Surridge, and there's so many other signings. So the future's bright, the future's orange, or should I say red, as the advert would say. And my thoughts are that Forest still have plenty of rising to do. If we go on a nice 2, 3, 4 game run where we're winning maybe 70% of those games, drawing the rest of them and not losing any, you just see us rise. The table's so congested right now, it's really easy to rise. What we can't do is get disconnected. If we start to go on another loss run where we lose to Fulham, we draw or lose to Leicester, we draw with Aston Villa, suddenly you're looking up and you're talking about minding the gap, as they say. So very, very important time and stage in the Nottingham Forest season right now. That's why when I say Fulham is a must win, it really is. It just takes that valve of pressure and releases it slightly. And then you will see the mood in the camp increase and rise. It looks fine to me now from the images and videos I've been seeing, but that pressure builds very, very quickly in the Premier League. Let me know your thoughts. I'm still sticking with 4th in the Premier League until it is mathematically impossible. I'm forever the optimist when it comes to Steve Cooper and the boys. If you agree or probably disagree, let me know in the comments down below. But let me know what is your position, and I will hold it to you come May time next year. Thanks for watching. We'll start the build-up from tomorrow for the Fulham match, so make sure you are around. Football is back on, and I can't wait to see the boys back out on the pitch. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, before you leave, quickly hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and don't forget to check out our Amazon store, and I appreciate you guys who are supporting us through that. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Come on, you Reds.